Growing up, I learned early that love in my house came with conditions, even if no one ever said it out loud. My mother never stopped providing for me. Food was on the table, clothes were clean, school fees were paid on time. From the outside, everything looked normal. But inside the house, there was a quiet distance that hurt more than shouting ever could. My mom loved appearances. She noticed how people looked before she noticed how they felt. Compliments came easily for others, neighbors' daughters, cousins, even strangers, but rarely for me. If someone was pretty, well-dressed, confident, my mother's face softened. If they weren't, she barely hid her disappointment. I grew up feeling like I belonged to the second category, even when no one said it directly. As a teenager, I was invisible to her. Not in the dramatic way people talk about neglect, but in small, painful ways. She rarely asked about my day. When I tried to talk, her attention drifted to her phone or the television. If I dressed simply, she sighed. If I didn't care about makeup, she called me lazy. When relatives visited, she compared me openly to others, praising their looks while pointing out what I lacked. "She doesn't try," she'd say, like I wasn't even in the room. I told myself it didn't matter. I focused on my studies, my friends, my dreams. I tried to build confidence from places that didn't depend on her approval. Still, no matter how strong I pretended to be, a part of me wanted her to look at me with pride instead of quiet disappointment. Things got worse after college. My cousins were getting jobs, getting married, posting perfect photos online. My mother watched all of it closely. Every morning, she'd remind me how important it was to present yourself well, if I wanted respect. Her advice always came back to the same thing, how I looked. Not what I wanted. Not who I was becoming. One day, after another argument about my appearance, she stopped trying altogether. That was the part that hurt the most. She didn't criticize anymore. She didn't advise. She barely spoke to me unless necessary. Meals were silent. Conversations were short and cold. It felt like she had decided I wasn't worth the effort. I didn't know what to do with that kind of rejection. I cried at night when no one could hear me. I wondered what was so wrong with me that my own mother couldn't see me. Friends told me to ignore it, to live my life, but they didn't understand what it's like to feel unseen in your own home. The makeover wasn't planned as revenge or rebellion. It started accidentally. A friend convinced me to join her for a salon appointment before a wedding. I didn't expect much, but when I looked in the mirror afterward, I barely recognized myself. Not because I had turned into someone else, but because I looked polished, confident, intentional. For the first time, I wondered what would happen if I leaned into that version of myself. I started experimenting slowly. New clothes that actually fit me well. Skincare. Light makeup. I didn't do it for my mother at first. I did it because it made me feel good. Because I liked seeing effort reflected back at me in the mirror. My posture changed. I smiled more. I walked differently, like someone who deserved to be seen. That's when my mother noticed. At first, it was small things. She looked at me longer than usual. She commented on my clothes. She asked where I bought something. Then one morning, she smiled at me and said I looked nice. It was such a simple sentence, but it landed like a shock. She hadn't said anything like that to me in years. Suddenly, she wanted to talk. She asked about my plans, my job applications, my friends. She introduced me proudly to relatives, standing a little taller when I stood beside her. She even started giving me advice again, but this time her tone was softer, almost affectionate. Everyone else saw it as improvement. As growth. As my mother finally appreciating me. But inside, I was torn apart. Because nothing about my heart had changed. My values hadn't shifted. My struggles were the same. The only thing that was different was my appearance. And that realization hurt more than her earlier silence. I started to feel angry in ways I couldn't explain. Angry that it took a makeover to be worthy of her attention. Angry that love seemed to arrive only after I met her standards. Angry that the girl I was before, the one who needed support and kindness the most, had been ignored so easily. One evening, after a family gathering where she couldn't stop praising me, I confronted her. My voice shook, but I didn't stop. I asked her why she hadn't treated me like this before. Why it took a change on the outside for her to finally see me. She didn't answer right away. When she did, it wasn't the apology I wanted. She said the world treats you better when you look better, and she only wanted to prepare me for reality. She said she thought being tough would motivate me. She didn't realize how lonely I felt. I nodded, but something inside me closed. I understood her logic, but logic doesn't erase pain. Preparing someone for the world shouldn't mean withholding warmth at home. Love shouldn't feel like a reward you earn by fitting into someone else's idea of beauty. Over time, I learned to hold two truths at once. My mother loves me in the way she knows how, shaped by her own fears and values. And her love has limits that I can't rely on for my self-worth. The makeover changed how she treated me, but it also changed how I saw her. It taught me that validation based on appearance is fragile and conditional. It can disappear the moment you stop meeting expectations. Today, I still take care of myself. I enjoy looking good, but I no longer confuse attention with acceptance. I've learned to give myself the kindness I waited for from her. I speak to myself gently. I celebrate who I am beyond the mirror. My mom talks to me now. She smiles, she listens, she shows me off. And while part of me appreciates it, another part remembers the girl she ignored. I carry her with me as a reminder that my worth was never created by a makeover. It was always there, even when no one bothered to see it.